and we'll see if they can do it again. They did manage to have some significant focus on Maple Street last time in the ban phase. We'll see if they do that. This time they are going to be on the red side as we enter Champion Select.
It seemed to work out for them because while Maple Street had some shining moments in the last game, really it was a subpar performance from him on the Draven. So the target bans really worked out, and he might be looking a little uncomfortable on anything that isn't Lucian or Corky.
Mm-hmm.
And we just been given some little insider information. Both of these teams actually have gaming houses, so it's starting to become or at least some of them. It's starting to become a trend among challenger teams even to start getting gaming houses in preparation for getting themselves in the LCS. And with the Challenger Series starting to get more and more cash influx with, the Coke League and even Black Monster Cup is a nice chunk of change. Happens 4 times per year, so that's a good opportunity for these guys to make some cash. The prize money for challenger teams is actually getting enough to where they can support themselves at least somewhat, especially if they have a little bit of a fan base or if they stream on the side as well. So that's nice to see, and for once, as a fan of the challenger scene and as a caster of the challenger scene for so long, it's nice to see some stability start to form.
Mm-hmm. Almost identical bans actually coming out this time. The same on the side of Zenith, but this time they mixed it up a little bit as they took away Caitlyn and instantly first picked the Maokai. So Cali Troll is going to get that one as we see what Zenith tries to answer with.
And the Azir being
Not sure
hovered.
if they'll go for that one. That's an interesting choice. It mostly goes mid lane. I think we've seen it top. Don't think it would be jungle. Just out of curiosity, just sort of something in my head tells me that.
Mid lane Azir can be pretty potent in the right hands. It's just something that not many people have seen and not many people are used to. So, yeah, he goes ahead and changes it. And Zenith, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going with just the same picks. They're not going to be able to pick up the Maokai that they had in the last game because that was taken over by Cali Trolls, but are able to pick up the Kha'Zix and the Nami.
Yep, so they do favor those choices for the time being, get that one locked in. And now, on the other side, Slushi thinking about the Fizz choice, but it would be a blind mid pickup.
Yeah, which can be a little risky. Fizz is susceptible to being shut down in lane. He is semi-snowbally in nature, but Slushi has had some pretty monster performances so far in BMC on the Fizz. So if he does pick it up, I have high hopes that he'll be able to do well. And wow, okay, so the Kog'Maw is going to be locked in for Maple Street. So going with a little bit of hypercarry here, not like in the performance on Draven. It's going to sort of switch it up. And at first I was a little bit confused because I haven't seen Kha'Zix very much since he got the new icon, but it took me a second to realize what champion that actually was.
So yeah, they lock that one in as well as the Fizz. So it's almost certainly that's where they're sending it is on Maple Street, and it's interesting because this isn't so far a really traditional protect the AD carry composition, and
No.
that's a risky thing for Team 8. But you know they are a team that sometimes goes for these risky compositions, and a high risk high reward thing can pay out for them. Kog'Maw is still going to be great when he gets to later levels, unlike a Draven, guaranteed.
Yeah, and also Kog'Maw has a little bit more utility than other late game hyper carries, just because of the way his ultimate works. He can actually safely check brushes and over walls, and also people underestimate the slow on Kog'Maw's E. It can really be pretty hard to traverse through in team fights if you stay in it for too long, and can allow Kog'Maw just time to sit in the back like the turret that he is, and be able to do that. And Alex the Man, I was going to say it, locking in the Vayne. I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that Alex the Man loves those later game hyper carries, and Vayne is a champion that we've seen quite often from him.
Gragas, on the other hand, hasn't been as
No.
popular, and I wouldn't be surprised to see. I mean, it's almost certainly going to be the top lane as well,
Yeah.
but it's more an early game thing, anyways. But talk about interesting choices too. You know, something worth noting: the fact that Porpoise has also been playing a little bit of solo queue jungle Fizz, so that's a possibility there if they want to take that option, and it's kind of a flex pick in a really weird way.
Yeah, and Cali Troll is also a lover of the Fat Man. He has been known to play some top lane Gragas. It sort of fits his top lane carry type of playstyle that he was known for more earlier in the Challenger series, not as much of late, but he also likes to play that. So We'll have to see what they're going to round off this composition with, and it looks like it's going to be the Syndra. And actually, you messaged me privately. I don't know why you didn't say it out loud, but you said that Porpoise has been the Fizz jungle could happen because he's done it in solo queue. So good call by you, showing me up on the
I try every once in a while.
analysis.
Although you got me on the Gragas comment, I want to like cut that out and make that a soundboard on its own. We can have a little Azumo soundboard. Okay, so yeah, with that happening, this is talk about snowball compositions. This is something that has a lot of late game potential. It has a lot of lane bullying potential. It's kind of terrifying. Do you think they go for a lane swap in this situation?
It's really hard to tell. We haven't really seen Zenith have much success in lane swap. I don't think we've seen them actually do it, but with how practiced they are and how solid their level 1 seem to be, it seems like a lane swap would sort of fall into that category of something that they'd be prepared for if they need to be. Orianna would be an okay choice in this situation. They don't have much synergy with Orianna as far as getting the ball where it needs to be, and Gragas and Orianna sort of counteract each other. If they don't have very crisp communication during team fights, it could mean for some really poor shockwaves if timed incorrectly with Gragas' ultimate as well. So that's a little bit of a questionable pickup, but Easy has been a monster on Orianna, so just by individual performances alone, it's a good pickup.
Yeah, I think the one thing that they do have synergizing with it is the Kazakhs as well. Mimo has been a pretty exemplary choice on that champion. But yeah, like you said, it's sort of indirect conflict to the Gragas ultimate as well. So they have to be incredibly careful about how they execute that. And it's kind of risky from both sides. But again, Zenith, they're riding the high of taking a game away from an LCS team. That could mean a whole lot for them.
Yeah. The thing that I'm looking forward to most is this Fizz jungle, though. Porpoise Pops is sort of the pioneer of pocket picks in the jungle.
Can you say that 5 times again? Really
Porpoise
fast.
Pops is the pioneer of pocket picks in the jungle. He's drawn bans on his Nocturne for longer than anybody's played Nocturne, with like the exception of Kakao over in Korea. All throughout the group stages and quarterfinals and semifinals, he drew Nocturne bans. So I'm a little surprised he didn't decide to go with that, but it seems like Fizz is his flavor of the month in the jungle. So I'm curious to see how he's going to do with that. He's very flexible. He's a very flexible jungler. He can play multiple playstyles. You can't really pin him as an aggressive jungler. You can't really pin him as a farm-heavy jungler. You can't really pin him as a vision control or counter gank jungler. He can do what his team needs to, and he's been very solid and consistent over that. You see him. You never say in a game, "Wow, Porpoise Pops was the one who carried," but you also never say, "Wow, Porpoise Pops lost in that game." So this is a more carry-type jungler role with the Fizz. So I'm curious to see how he's going to fare, and I'm really excited to see it.
Definitely should be plenty of action coming at you early. But again, they have a couple of fail-safes, too. The later the game goes on, the Maokai Kog'Maw gets more powerful. Syndra, if she snowballs in lane, Slushy knows how to work that champion. And it makes you wonder if Easy doesn't pick up the Orianna just as a safety mechanism.
Yeah, that could be exactly right. I mean, his champion pool has been okay, but we've really seen him on just a few things. Jace, Orianna, and Xerath, I think, are what he's played in the majority of games that we've seen him play in. So maybe he's falling back on a comfort pick just because he's not comfortable with any other matchup against Syndra. But still, nonetheless, his Orianna has been incredibly impressive. And, I mean, all these guys, their individual picks for their champions are really good. We'll just have to see how they're going to work as a team, because I'm a little bit concerned with their team fights.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of crazy action. Let's see if it doesn't shape up to be. But guys, we'll be taking a very quick break, playing you that intro when we come back. Game number 2 of our 3rd place match in the Black Monster Cup Fall 2014 series. It is going to be Team 8 taking on Zenith. Zenith 1 game away from victory. They can do it here. They can be 3rd place. We'll see you guys in just a few. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Black Monster Cup. We are getting ready to get this game underway. It is game number 2, and there are some interesting choices coming out of both these teams. Zenith out the gates marching 5-man. We have seen them coming with those level 1s quite frequently. We'll see if they do this yet again. Team 8 doing the more conventional thing once again.
Yeah, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. Zenith has been the team that I've been most impressed so far in the Black Monster Cup playoffs at level 1. They had one time where it backfired, It ended up almost costing them a game just about. They fell really far behind level 1, but other than that, they've been very crisp. They've been very unpredictable. They've never really done the same exact thing twice. And you never know. They might 5-man invade your blue buff like they're doing now and just stay there. They might just get vision control, back off, and then late invade it again. Very unpredictable, but very coordinated.
And again, time and time again, they catch the opposing team sort of off guard. They see it coming, and they just cannot react to it quick enough. So all 5 members getting a couple of deep ward outs, and they're going to be making moves in mass, and that's going to force Cali Trolls to back away.
Yeah, and Teammate did a great job last game, and it looks like they're doing a great job this game of reacting to the unpredictability of Zenith's level 1s. They have deep vision on that blue buff. They're basically placing wards where they know Zenith has already been, so they can watch their backtracks. Look how many wards are placed at level 1. So many. Everybody's wards are on cooldown right now, and they're all in pretty ideal places. Now, this is what Zenith does. They'll run across an entire stretch of the map to bait out wards in that area, and then go to the other side of the map and do a late invade on that side. So this is
Here they go again.
Just crazy.
Find Dodo. Oh man, yeah. Again, they don't even care, and they are going to be able to muscle their way to a red buff here. It should prompt a normal lane swap situation, but well, we'll see how it does go down. Actually, everyone's down the bot, so Soul King's actually going to teleport up to the top. They don't really mind burning that spell early, as long as it means they can get a slight advantage, and you know, again, it's reduced time on the counter. So here they go. Everything takes the place normally, and they force the Jungle Fizz to, of course, he wants to start blue buff, but he's going to have to go to the top side now. Yeah,
well, he does want to start blue buff for the cooldowns, but at the same time, his clear speed is really slow, and it can be a little awkward with the Playful Trickster and how that works with minion aggro. So you have to be really careful with how you use that ability, or else you could put yourself in a situation where you're taking a lot of damage from a jungle clear. So his clear is already slow, and now it's going to be even slower since he gets no leash and has to start the blue buff. So he's going to head to that red buff, and he's probably going to be pretty safe, but how healthy is he going to be to look for ganks after he gets that level 3 with the double buffs?
Yeah, now, you know, if Mimo wanted to take this, he could have made moves directly up and tried to 3-buff Porpoise, but he's definitely trying to play it safe a little bit right now, and you can tell he's already taken a lot of punishment from the blue versus what Porpoise has been able to do. Everything else, pretty normal starts, but I gotta wonder what's going on with Solo King up in the top, because Gragas, there's a reason he fell a little bit out of favor here, and he's gonna fall behind the longer the game goes against Cali.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit last game, and Maokai, you have a little bit of breathing room and a little bit of flexibility with who you can pick in the top lane. There's not many situations where a Maokai is going to be able to bull you out of lane, so you should be pretty safe on just about anything that you pick. So when you see a Maokai pick, it's sort of like, well, what do I want to play for my team? What am I comfortable playing for my team instead of what am I comfortable playing for the lane? Because while he's not going to bully you, he's got so much sustain that it's going to be hard to really bully him out of lane either. So Gragas, I don't think he's going to have much trouble on the lane as long as there's not jungle focus. There was a little bit of pressure up by the top lane. Slushy came up for what looked to be a roam for a gank up top, but nothing comes of it.
Yeah, kind of strange. They spent so much time and effort there, and that actually allowed Easy to get a decent-sized CS lead as well as getting him out of the range. So, yeah, really curious of the decision-making of Team 8 right now as they get this early game underway. Maple and Dodo trying to be aggressive as they can be, but again, 2 late-game hyper carries dueling it out against each other. Probably not going to make for the featured matchup. Let's keep our eyes on that mid.
Yeah. And that roam in the top lane really set Slushy behind. He lost almost a full wave of CS and had to back off. He did get an early back, so he's able to pick up the pink ward and extra Dorn Ring, but Easy has not been someone who falls behind in CS, and he's been really consistently high on the CS numbers, so he should be able to keep a pretty consistent 5 to 10 CS lead throughout this laning phase if nothing goes wrong or is intervened by either of these junglers.
Speaking of junglers, Mimo does make a trek across, just continuing to farm his own jungle as everything's sort of reset, but again, he does have a slight experience advantage on his own side. Porpoise still only level 3 to start this game off. Solo King getting a little dangerously close to the tree up top there, but they still are able to keep it nice and safe.
In the laning phase, Gragas is very similar to Maokai, except he's got less sustain. So it's kind of not the best matchup for him. I mentioned earlier that he shouldn't really be in too much danger of getting completely pushed out of lane, but he has to make sure that he doesn't take too much harass because, of course, Cali Trolls is going to have a better time sustaining up in that lane.
Ooh, nice double bubble.
Wow, yeah, very nice.
Yeah, Hako catches Maple and Dodo, and that should delay him a little bit. They're just trying to play the denial game. Decent CS lead for Alex the Man right now, as Maple just hasn't been able to get in the picture. Everything else fairly normal, and it really won't get that crazy until we start seeing a couple of roams, although Mimo is looking ready to try for a jump in here onto Slushy Syndra, but he's baiting and waiting his time out. Here he comes. They might just be able to do it, but Porpoise is also in the area. Early jump, not going to get the catch, and the level advantage is all but negated. Mimo actually getting cut out, has to flash as an Ignite is spent on him. And Zenith is able to dodge out with any casualties, but still it was a close miss.
Yeah, the burst damage from that mid laner jungle combo is actually really high, so you have to be pretty careful. Kha'Zix is not a very durable jungler early game. Wow, that damage trade in the bottom lane. Alex the Man has absolutely no fear. He is living up to his name. He really is a man, staying in that fight for probably a little bit longer than he should.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough, but he did turn a lot of the damage onto Maple as well. Unfortunately, he's able to steal a little bit back of that more away. So with his 5 CS lead, 4 CS lead now, he's trying to hang on to that just a little bit. But again, everything fairly normal. Porpoise, however, is looking to go around the side here. Easy and Mimo are both there, but they are both low, and Porpoise rethinks his proposition.
Yeah, sneaking off to the side there, looking for a dive. Those two can juggle turret aggro pretty well between the two, so Fizz is a pretty good turret diver early on
Alex,
in the jungle.
Again, he has no fear. I mean, yeah, you called it. This guy really, really loves just to try and go in for the early game aggression as well. It's almost like watching double lift a couple of times, the sort of things that we've seen him do, tumbling forward for a little extra damage. But Maple has been known how to does know how to react to this kind of thing, and he's trading just a little bit more efficiently, if not in the CS department, able to get the damage back on the enemy carry.
It takes a lot of comfortability with a champion like Vayne to be able to go in that aggressive and have the confidence in yourself to be able to play aggressive in a lane with a short range AD carry like Vayne without too many escapes. And Alex the Man is balancing it pretty well. I mean, he does have the sustain with Nami, so he's got a little bit more breathing room, but wow, that's just so much damage.
Gotta be careful. Hako now taking the rest of it, and they're trying to bait out for Mimo, who's on his way, but he is not feeling super confident that he's going to be able to dive onto Maple Street right now. So again, because Alex is not backing, you know, it doesn't really show a change of character here, but they got to know that something like that's happening. Heal's going to be spent. One more flash is burned by Dodo, and they do get that. So in all said and done, it's a heal for a flash burned. Alex is still incredibly low, and he will have to back away. Mimo is going to make moves again towards his blue buff, trying to give this one over to Easy, but Slushy is there looking for potential steal.
Yep. And blue buff going to be passed over to Easy, and pretty easy take for him. They do have control over that dragon area, so if they're able to get some pressure on that bot side, then should be a good take for them. Now, this could be a good opportunity for them because they know that bottom lane is going to be backing, and their bottom lane is fresh, and they have the fresh jungler back as well, but I don't think their backs were timed well enough. Hakulo stayed in base for an exceptionally long time for some reason, maybe waiting on a gold threshold for one of his items, but it doesn't look like that dragon is going to be happening.
Yeah, they didn't really quite time that as well as they could have. Nonetheless, everything else still being even. It is a dead even game in the gold department. Alex and Maple have been just about caught up to each other, and here we go from the top. Solo King and Cali Trolls going to duke it out, but like you said, the Gragas, same as a tree, less support, and both supports will find each other out in the river as well and throw a couple of auto attacks each other's way.
Yeah, so this is a wet noodle fight up in the top lane. Both these guys, not much kill potential on each other, and they're staying pretty even as far as CS goes, so pretty uneventful up there. Now, Porpoise Pops has managed to actually pass Mimo in CS, which is a pretty big feat for a Fizz jungle with that slow clear to be able to do that against a Kha'Zix who's known to be more of a farm-heavy jungler. Now, Mimo has put a little bit of pressure on the map, but nothing has really been much of a success, so it looks like they're actually going to start up this dragon. This could be really risky.
Yeah, Soul King and Cali Trolls both have their teleports. This is a two-man attempt. Porpoise has to know this is happening as he makes moves, but we've got a game pause coming out, and again, we continue the trend as a teleport comes in from Cali Trolls. The tense pauses. Dragon half health. What's going to happen?
Yeah, this is... If you look at the map, this could be a really bad situation for Cali Trolls because he doesn't have backup that close to him. Porpoise Pops is around the corner, but there's Vayne and Nami. He's being sandwiched in between these two guys. Janna as well is not, maybe not in the greatest of positions, but they do have pretty good disengage. Janna, along with Nami, two very strong disengage supports. So if they don't see a great fight, then that could be beneficial for them. But the big thing is that Slushy is actually not even in the mid lane. He went up for a roam on the top lane. Not sure why, maybe to get a little bit of push on that lane. But there also is a teleport available for Solar King, so he could come into this fight as well. And Slushy is going to be late, so I think that could be a factor in who comes out on top of this team fight. But it should be pretty close. You look at that gold, exactly even at this point. All the item break points across everybody in this game, pretty even as well. There's a blasting wand on Solar King, but I think there's 1,300 gold on Cali Troll, so as he's teleporting in, he could purchase an item. If not, it could be a pretty big mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough whatever happens, but again, you know, serious numbers advantage right now for Zenith as they look to get their comms fixed up. That issue was the reason for the pause in the first place, so it buys them a little bit extra time to think about it, but they won't be able to communicate till they're all ready for that one. But again, Solo King could come in around and make this an even numbers game, but the teleport that he'd have to burn would be over in the Tri-Brush, since that's the closest thing that he can get to, whereas they kind of would like to get a little bit closer for this because Easy and Mimo, you know, could get caught on that one.
Yeah. And should be getting underway here in a second as soon as these guys fix up their issues. I hear a lot of chat going on, but I'm afraid to show it.
I think they they're just talking about pretty much exactly the same thing we're talking about, so trying to mull over the options as they get ready to get the game going. But yeah, it's always rough when you're caught between Dragon Aggro and a couple of the enemy team, and when you have this much time to think about it, you can almost easily psych yourself out there.
Yeah, you can overthink it and make calls that aren't going to be that great. Maybe think that you're a little bit further progressed along in the game.
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh. And so it begins.
Yep, so the teleport is coming in. They're going to get a ball on that one. Shockwave connecting on Cali and Dodo right away. There's going to be the Janna ult out of Dodo. Monsoon coming in there. Solo King teleport in the back as well. They're going to get Dodo caught. Cali Trolls is in trouble, having to run and scatter. Should be one pickup, and that's first blood. A very late one by these team standards. And Dodo, he should go down too. Roll out the barrel. That's going to be one more pickup. And they will make moves towards this dragon. Slushy is still here, as is Porpoise Pops, but they have a serious numbers advantage. And a large scale stun's going to land on just about everybody. Slushy still fancying his chances. Going to get caught up in the bubble. They're going to move off, peel off the dragon again. More damage onto him, and now they go back to this one, securing it. A little bit of help from Easy and Mimo. Porpoise still wants to fight this one, but they have to settle for the fact that they got nothing.
Yeah, and a great fight there by Zenith. And a little bit mistimed on the Shockwave. I think he was hoping to catch Cali Trolls in it as well, timing it off the teleport. You said it yourself, you can psych yourself out a little bit. I'm sure Easy was going through that scenario in his mind. Okay, I'm going to place the ball right where he's going to teleport, and then I'm going to Shockwave the whole time that the game was paused, and gets a little bit trigger happy and pulls the trigger a little bit too quickly. But still, nonetheless, they do come out on top, and that's going to be a nice, comfortable gold lead for them. And now we have to look at the scaling of these guys, and it's really hard to say who's going to come out on top because both of these teams scale pretty well into the later stages of the game. I think Maokai is a little bit better of a front line than Zenith is going to be able to get from anywhere, whether it be Gragas or the Kazakhs. But at the same time, Orianna, that ball, people underestimate the defensive stats that gives late game. So if he's able to put that on either one of those two melees, then it could make them into sort of a pseudo front line. But it's really hard to tell who's going to outscale who with these two team comps.
Yeah, if it does get to that later stages of the game, it definitely is going to be a tough one to call. It really comes down to, you know, a lot of the times those do come down to the Orianna Shockwaves. As you mentioned, there was a brilliant one by Easy earlier on in this tournament that really shaped the nature of this game. But just like that dragon fight is really going to turn this mid game on its head. So playing with a little more confidence now, Zenith is able to shove out and see if they can start aiming for those towers with a 1.5k gold lead. Alex rolling on forward, looking for Maple Street.
Yeah, here comes Mimo. It's going to be spotted because of that pink ward, but they're going to be able to clear a little bit. And now, even if he's not there, they have to suspect his presence because they have absolutely no vision in that bush, so they have to play super passive, not knowing if there's going to be a dive coming or not, while Mimo could be halfway across the map.
Yep, they are trying to juggle the aggro just a little bit, try to save their tower as much as they can. Meanwhile, the top lane, Cali's been able to bully Solo King out of this particular area. Now here, Porpoise is going to get a little bit of jungle stealing on as well, but they look to collapse on him. Solo King dodges one way, or rather goes one way, and Porpoise goes the other. That's going to be Slushy trying to duel it out with Easy. Here we go, a flash burn by Porpoise pops as Easy comes on in. They get the shockwave on to Slushy. He's going down, and that's a pickup for the Fat Man. They collapse perfectly on that one, even if it looked a little bit shaky to start. Zenith, once again, 3-0 this time. They gave up a tower for it, though. Cali Trolls still on the march in the top lane.
Yeah, what a fantastic collapse there. That's Hakuo coming all the way down. That play was set up from a long time away, and you could see Solo King pinging it out. He really wanted that kill on the Porpoise Pops to protect this jungle. And Porpoise Pops is actually really low over here.
Uh-oh, yeah, Mimo's going to find him. One more play for Trickster. It's not going to be enough, though, as Mimo finds the isolated target execution. And they should be able to answer back a little bit more with some damage on this tower. Meanwhile, Solo King and Alex have also been pushing up top, so really covering all their bases now. Zenith 4-0 on this game.
Yeah, and that's one of the weaknesses there shown from Fizz. His clear time is slow. Without mana, he can take a lot of damage from camps, and it can be really risky. And that was just a poor decision by him to say, hey, do I have enough health and mana to be able to take this blue buff safely? And the answer was no, and he pays for it. And just as he picks it up, he gives it right back over to Mimo. So now they're going to have both blue buffs on them. And a nice, pretty comfortable 2k lead. They are a turret down, but if they keep managing to make these picks and collapse as well as they are right now, they shouldn't have too much of a time. Now, their siege comp this game is not nearly as good as it was last game. In fact, it's actually pretty poor. They're going to have to rely on finding fights outside of turrets and getting objectives outside of turrets to be able to get those turrets as objectives, because their siege is just pretty poor with this team comp as opposed to last game.
Now you see Alex being the patient one in the brush right now. He goes out and tries to 1v1. He's also 2 levels down on Cali Trolls. He is putting the damage out. Hakuo is here. Won't be able to chase him as far. Maybe they can. The bubble's going to come up. Oh, they might be able to execute the tree. Here we go. One more shot should do it. And that's a pickup for Alex, the man, into tower range. No fear whatsoever as he manages to polish that one off with a little help from his friends.
Yeah, that was really well played. I don't think Cali Trolls really expected Hakuho to be there as well, but they managed to pick up a kill. It looked at first that he was just tickling him. He didn't seem like he was doing that much damage. But that's also should be able to net them a turret. I'm not sure if Cali Trolls is going to use his teleport up to this top lane to try and defend it. But if not, then Alex the Man is definitely going to be able to take this one as the first turret of the game for Zenith.
Yep, and it may almost be too late, and he's not going to use that one. Tower will go down, so the tower gold in lead evens out just about as you see Porpoise down in that bot side, just playful trickstering away. But talk about the vision game here. It has been Zenith really making use of their vision despite a pretty equal number of wards placed around the map.
Yeah, Porpoise Pops in the last game really played the part of vision control for Team 8, and you can see when he's playing a champion that's not quite as mobile, not quite as strong with getting the vision out there, and being able to build a sight stone without falling too far behind. Their vision is really lacking.
He might have been caught out just a little bit here. Could be the first casualty of the game for Zenith eSports. It looks like he will be, so that's not what you want to do with 30 seconds on the Dragon timer, but he will be back up in time to be able to contest that one. You see Team 8, though, making some aggressive moves. They want to get back in the gold game, and this could be how they do it.
Yeah, and that's sort of been a trend with Hakuo over the past couple games. Around this point, he's been caught out one too many times. And, I mean, we mentioned at the beginning of the cast that Hakuo actually did play with this most of this roster for a while, but it's been K1 Pro who's been a part of this lineup for a pretty long time, and they're using him as sort of a sub. And how much does that communication play into effect here in this part of the game when he's going for that vision and just doesn't have the backup that he needs and gets caught out of position? Great job by teammate to capitalize, but Hakuo really needs to step it up with how careful he is when trying to gain that vision control over the Dragon area.
Has been pretty effective overall, though, and the fact that they are using a sub against teammate does make their previous victory even more impressive in this one. So everyone pinging out, trying to get a little bit more control here. Hakuo going a little far forward as the Dragon was aggroed, and you see Alex and Mimo making moves on that side as well. But wards are being cleared left and right, and no team really wants to be the first to take on the big Drake.
Yeah, it's sort of tough. Both these teams have really good sort of counter engages, but really good engages on a collapse. It's really detrimental to be grouped up against both of these teams.
Wow, Solo King had to spend his ultimate up top just to get away from Cali Trolls. In that one-on-one situation, it really hasn't been all that good, but the KDA really would suggest otherwise. As you can see, 2-0 to an 0-2 is definitely something you want to be able to do when you're in that kind of disadvantageous position.
Yeah, if you look at the total gold accumulated for both those guys, it's very even. Cali Trolls has sort of made up for being a little bit down in kills by being pretty far up in the CS department. And I guess with this pause, we can look at the individual gold counts for all of these guys. The biggest discrepancy actually being, this is surprising, one of the biggest discrepancies is the support. There's 800 gold difference between Dodo and Hakuho being in the head there. The only larger difference in this game is between the mid laners, which is about 1,000, which is where you'd expect the biggest difference to be. So that's a pretty big deal. 800 gold to supports is like winning the lottery.
Yeah, doesn't happen all that often, so definitely a large edge to Zenith just for being able to do that. And you know, the 4 assists certainly helping out with that. They want to be able to shore that up with the Dragon Gold right now, but as you've seen, teammate not intent on letting them get that one and falling even further behind. It's only a 2,700 gold game, but that's quite a lot at 18 minutes.
Yeah, and Zenith did a great job last game of finding opportunities when they were a little bit ahead to increase their lead, and they had pretty good decision making aside from a couple catches, a couple of their teammates getting caught out in the mid game. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to be able to bring it together this game. It's going to be tougher for them because their team comp this time around is not quite as good as making the same types of plays that they made in the last game. Looking at sieging and looking at turrets and trying to make long range picks. That's just not how they're going to be able to do it this game. So I'm curious to see how they're going to find the openings and if they're going to be able to execute those properly. And on the same side, Team 8, they really need to get back into this game, and they do have the tools to make engagements from long range with the Syndra, with the Chum the Waters from Fizz. So how are they going to do it? How are they going to be able to make this next dragon fight work, which is most likely going to be where the next action happens?
Yep, certainly going to be trying for pinging out right now on the easy as they try to just get a little bit more of a vision edge. As it mostly Team 8 wards in that side of the map right now. But here we go. Is Alex and Man going to go on to Maple right now? There's a teleport coming in. They have to back away from this one. Exhaust is down on both the carries. Here comes Cali Trolls, but here comes Solo King. They're going to make this a 3v3, but the Fat Man's caught on the wrong side. Here they go. Dodo is here, and Mimo coming in for the other one. It's a 4v3. They might be able to do this one. Will they get there in time? Porpoise is running, trying to get to the fight, and they are going to bail out. Chum the Water's coming up. They're not done just yet. Teammate looking to pick up Solo King, and they will be able to do it. Hakuho Mimo having to flash away from this one. Alex still trying to return fire as best he can, but that ends up being a fight going in favor of Team 8, and they make a beeline for the Dragon.
And that was pretty much a doomed fight. Whoa,
oh,
Mimo!
He's going down. That's a pickup. So they were able to pick that one off. Shockwave coming in. Here we go, though. They don't have any damage on the back line, and that's going to be Alex and Hakuho going down. So a big 4 for none. It may have been a close thing. Oh, I spoke too soon. Porpoise does go down thanks to Easy, but still a massive victory and gold swing going back in favor of Team 8 as they look to shore it up with the Dragon.
Yeah, Easy was back in base when that fight began. There was absolutely no chance for him to be able to make it to that fight on time.
Wow, they're going to be able to get both these. Oh, maybe not. Run, run, run.
Yeah, Slushy is
You can't escape.
He's taking the blue buff over and over again to try and deny it from Easy while they're taking the dragon, because and then otherwise that would be a pretty easy pickup for him. He might get it anyways.
Oh, no, but it was really close, and while they were taking way too much time, they do get themselves caught at a liability here. Cali Trolls might go down, Twisted Advance onto Easy, but they were able to finish him off anyways. Solo King looking for Dodo. He finds it, roll out the barrel, and pentakills. That's Slushy, of course. He is in a little bit of trouble right now, as he might go down as they overstayed a little bit. So they get a triple kill onto the Fat Man, and it's Zenith right back in the game.
Yeah, still though, all in all, they come out not on top of this unless they're able to take quite a few objectives. They still are down in kills. No, actually even in kills. So 4 for 4, so not too bad. They're able to trade basically the same amount of kills and a turret for a dragon. And they did give up their blue buff, but they're going to be able to take the blue buff for themselves as well. And now swinging top for a second turret as well. What a play by Zenith and by Solo King to clean up on the back of that fight with a triple kill.
Yeah, I mean, it really just came down to Slushy and crew just taking way too much time to try and greedily grab the blue buff as well as the dragon, and as low as they were, it was an easy cleanup effort. A really nice bait as well from Easy, too. Just constantly staying around there and dodging and weaving.
A little bit of a cheeky plan there by Slushy to continually grab the blue buff and fling it over the wall, and it took them way too long to be able to kill that. And like you said, that's just allowed Zenith to make it there, and it was basically just Easy and Solo King taking on the world, and he's able to pick up 3 kills. And now he's 5-1. So he is a little bit down in CS, but has pulled ahead to about a 500 gold lead over his counterpart Cali Trolls from the top lane. So he's getting pretty big.
Yep. And they'll continue to use him as that large front line right now, as he has that blue buff picking up off the kill that they, of course, gave it over anyways. But yeah, again, gold lead fairly much negated, or rather the swing was negated entirely by teammates just overstaying that.
Yep. Now, they're still in a pretty good spot. This game is definitely not over yet. I mentioned earlier, Zenith's team comp sort of has a little bit of trouble engaging. They can disengage really well, and they can turn around a fight. Uh-oh.
They have to not get caught first. Hakuo is in a little bit of trouble, but everyone is there for defense. So even with the positional errors that the support substitute from Zenith has been making, they were still able to salvage that one. And again, controlling the pace of the lanes, but they have to be careful not to get caught out of position here. Alex is by himself in the bot side, but he's able to defend 1v2 just fine.
Yeah, he spots Slushy right on the edge of the creep wave, so he knows he's there, which is a really good spot by him, and really fortunate by him to be able to spot that out, because he should be okay, and now his team is in a spot where they can collapse.
Maple's in trouble. Alex, can he duel him out, though? No, he can't, because Slushy was able to mop that up on the other side. Here comes a teleport for Solo King, but they're already down a carry. Here they go. Maple Street's already down as well, so Solo King getting chunked on now. There's the Janna ult Dodo. Shockwave gonna connect them on in. Can they finish this one off? Mimo, everyone is low right now. Easy, he goes down, and that's a pickup with a huge Syndra ulti. It's a double kill going over to Cali Trolls, and there's a flashes on each side. Hakuo and Mimo are scattering like the wind, and they are running away from this one, but it ends up being a dead even fight all in all, and the largest members survive.
Yeah, that was a really good sort of salvage by Zenith. That fight looked really bad for them at the start. They barely managed to dodge out of the Chum the Waters and managed to come out even, despite having a shockwave only hitting Dodo at the support position. And just a really bad start to the fight, with Alex being pretty much soloed out by Maple Street. So overall, I think Zenith is probably pretty happy with that came out, even though they're going to lose 2 turrets. That could have been a whole heck of a lot worse.
Well, maybe just one. They're going to force Cali Trolls to walk away from this one, but, you know, make like a tree and leave, and he does. Well, at least not without taking a couple of pot shots. Hakuo is trying to force him away from this one. All said and done, yeah, it still has been a little bit better for Zenith, but you have to be careful. If they take too many engages like that one, teammate will just roll on over them.
Yeah, and you can already tell Cali Trolls right now in teamfights as being so much more useful than the Solo King. He's starting to do just about as much damage as him, as well as having a lot more low cooldown disruption, more sustain, and a lot more tankiness to be the front line that his team needs, where Solo King is just sort of flailing in these fights. He's really great in the cleanup potential and to disengage or disperse at the beginning of a fight, but the longer that fight goes, the more and more Maokai is going to be a lot more useful than Gragas, and that's sort of why he's fallen out of favor as compared to some of these other top laners like Maokai that have become popular recently.
Yeah, another thing worth noting is his build is, you know, basically a little bit more AP-centric. It kind of looks like what I used to run on Singed in Season 2, so it's kind of trying to focus on denying a little bit of the magic resist that will be built up against Easy, that will be built up against him as well. But yeah, it's not going to be that sustainful tank line, just because they know that it's not really what he's going to be best at anymore, as Zenith tries to 5-man, well, taking away a couple of race, as trying to make teammate a little scared to march out the front door.
Yeah, and they're going to have to back off a little bit. The waves are starting to build up. Solo King's having to head to the top lane. His teleport is available in case they need it, but there's quite a big wave building up there. He's going to have to go and head that one on, but teammate might want to look for a siege here. The Kog'Maw
go for Dragon.
Oh yeah, Dragon spawns in 15 seconds. Solo King's going to need to make a really smart and decisive teleport if they're going to want to be able to contest this, because this is going to spawn quick, and Zenith is going to, or sorry, teammate is going to be able to take this one down really quickly if Zenith doesn't react.
Well, Zenith is running awards to teleport too right now, and they're actually having Solo King make moves as fast as the Fat Man can. But wait, what's this? They're calling the bluff. They're going to move towards a tower, trading it. This would actually be a very good move for them if they can pull it off, but the minion wave is just a little bit too slow to cooperate, and they might have a fight on their hands here, just dodging out the Howling Gale. They've got damage on it, but is it going to be enough? No, it's not. And in the end, they're forced away. Hakuo actually taking a bit of damage on the retreat, and Cali Troll is looking to try and stop that. Oh, here we go. Chum the Water's going to land on Hakuo. Fish for a fish. He bites him. That's the chain. And there's going to be a massive Shockwave here. Everyone from teammate is scattering away, but still, they're not out of the woods just yet. Keep on running back to tower as fast as they can. They are still incredibly low, but the sustain is there. Solo King, he gets stunned up. Scout of the weak. Porpoise going to go for him. He's going to dodge it, but he didn't realize his team wasn't going. Has to flash away from that one, and there is not the communication Zenith needed, as they are forced away with nothing to show for it, and a mini wave growing on the bot.
And in theory, I like that move by Zenith. Trading turrets for Dragon is beneficial for their team because they're going to have so much trouble sieging as this game goes on. Getting the turrets while they can is going to be really beneficial to them, but they didn't react quick enough. They didn't push the wave. At first, they looked like they were going to contest Dragon, and I think that was their plan. They called the audible to head down to the mid lane to go for the turret when it should have been their plan from the get-go with how much control teammate had over that Dragon. Now, as far as the fight goes, both teams just were really hesitant to make the all-in engage. You notice as soon as Easy used that shockwave, 3 members instantly flashed out of the epicenter of that shockwave. And then, on the other side, Solo King uses his body slam into the team only to immediately flash back out, realizing that that was a really poor decision. So, both teams really hesitant to make moves, and this game is super close.
Yeah, definitely curious decision making being made left and right, but especially on Zenith's side, they are slowly being edged out. The gold game is still theirs, but not for much longer if this keeps up. They do need to be able to pop a couple more towers to stay relevant. They have been able to keep their mid one. First tier still up, so that should be the easiest thing for teammate to make moves towards if they want it, and they are pinging in the area.
Yeah, and both teams have sort of been lacking in the turret department so far this game. We're 28 minutes in and only 6 total turrets have fallen on the map, only one of those being a second tier. So that first tier turret in mid living for this long into the game is a pretty big victory for Zenith. But at the same time, again, I'm curious how they're going to make these fights work. They need to really catch teammate out of position or find a really good fight. Here we go.
Oh, Dodo, he could go down. The wave's only going to catch up on Porpoise Deluxe, and here they go. Solo King trying to zone out for the rest of his team. That's going to be a bubble picking up the kill. Hakuo getting the credit for that one. Cali Troll's in the middle of it all, but he's so tanky. He's still taking abuse. Flashes forwards. Alex, the man, should be able to finish him off. It actually goes over to Easy, and that's 2 kills for none. Mimo nearly going down there, but again, Zenith just finding the slightly better fight. The question is, can they take anything from it?
Slightly better fight is not what they want right now, and it's not what they need right now. They need a blown out fight in favor of them to be able to push anything at all, because right now, even though they have the numbers advantage, a full health Maple Street and a full health Slushy is not something that they can afford to go for. Now, Solo King did a great job of initiating that fight and causing chaos. I think that's going to be their plan coming into these fights, is just causing as much chaos as possible and letting Alex the Man try and clean up on that chaos. And somehow Easy needs to find a good shockwave.
Oh, shockwave. They found Maple. He's low, but they don't have any follow-up damage. A teleport's coming in for Cali right now. They really want this tower. Mimo, he's low. He's in the backside. There's Solo King causing as much havoc as he can. They'll be able to pick up a pair of kills on that one. One going over to Easy as they get the Kog'Maw exploding in a blaze of purple. And they still are ahead on this one, but again, they're not finding anything from it. As you said, the game, it's ticking away from them. They need to be able to get these edges, and they're making moves, but where to?
Yeah, just a really chaotic fight. Now it's just a better use of teleport by Solo King, flanking in from behind, where Calytrolls only came in from a little bit from the side. This is a very risky move.
The Baron, here it goes. They have to keep Porpoise Deluxe away from this one. A 2-member Baron, they actually could do it, but it's going to take so long, and they know this is happening. The tower in the middle finally falls down. Cali Trolls marching on in. It's a full team effort now. Will they get there in time for the steal? It's going to be a close one. It's low. It's almost down. The ult's in. They get it. It's in. They get Cali Trolls. He's caught on one side, but will he be able to get the damage out? They have so much there. Alex, he's going to melt. That was a huge Syndra ultimate, and Cali is still in, causing havoc. Porpoise Pops is now jumping over the wall. Mimo escapes. That's a shockwave. They managed to get one. Can they get another? One more playful trickster, but it's Mimo with the resets. Coming on in, they find themselves a 2 for 3 so far, and Easy gonna force Dodo and Maple away. Again, barely finding the fight they needed, but 3 members have the Baron.
What a set of moves by Zenith. Starting the Baron off with 2 people, making sure that they had control, holding teammate back long enough for them to get off the Baron, and in those chaotic fights, this team, it thrives on that chaos. They need that chaos to be able to win, because in an organized fight, teammate's going to come out on top, but Zenith just managing to sneak that one out, and Easy and Solar King are just doing so much damage, and in tandem with each other, it's just ridiculous. Easy is using his Shockwave as more as a tool to catch people out, as opposed to sort of like an initiation on a fight, which is, I think, how he's going to need to adapt to be able to win these fights. And, I mean, Solar King's just wreaking havoc. And now that he's finished that Void Staff, you can see he's starting to chunk out. And with the Command Protect from Orianna, it's sort of turning him into somewhat of a tank with the sustain that he has and the tank stats from the Command Protect. It's working out, but still, even with that Baron buff, only a 4k gold lead. That's not as comfortable of a gold lead as they would want at this point.
Well, Zenith, you can see the item strategy that they have really kind of paying dividends. There's not a lot of MR on the side. I guess we'll have to talk about that in a minute, because Slushie trying to zone out while the rest of the team does this dragon. Zenith realizing it should go down, and they should be able to take this one, but they want the fight here. Maple Street, he's caught out. Not near enough for Dodo, but they do get the Cinder ult out. Maple still being targeted, but the backline is being dove right now. Porpoise gets in, gets out. They're able to dish the damage. It's already Solar King is down. They found Dodo for their troubles, and they finally find Cali Trolls. Again, just barely with the fights, and Zenith, they might have lost the dragon, but they found the win there. It's again just barely what they needed, and they're gonna face check right into this one. Oh my goodness, Slushie, what is going on? He gets a double kill, and they face check right into him. Gonna pay for it, but hashtag worth.
Yeah, and he almost picks up with the last ball there, the kill on Alex the Man. That would have been a heroic save by then. And I mean, this has sort of been the name of the game. Both teams just trading blows back and forth. That's going to be a lot of Baron buffs gone. Alex the Man didn't get the Baron buff to begin with, so he doesn't even have it. So the only one that's going to be left is Mimo. So that pretty much takes away all the bonus siege potential that they had with it. And now we're sort of back at square one for both of these teams. I mean, it seems really tough. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is these initiations from Team 8 have been sort of lackluster. They have the potential to really blow out these team fights with a good initiation. Porpoise Pops has not been on point with these Chum the Waters. I haven't really seen a great one connect. Now, granted, it's pretty telegraphed and somewhat easy to dodge as far as initiation abilities go, but still, he's like 1 for 8 at this point, so he needs to make sure that those are on point. Maybe even save it. Use his body to initiate it first and land a closer range Chum the Waters or something to get that better off for Slushie and Maple Street to be able to clean up. But still, not too bad for Team 8 despite losing the Baron buff and losing a lot of the map control.
Well, the big issue here for Zenith especially is that they have a lot of their kills, a lot of their gold on champions that just aren't going to be as effective the longer the game goes on. They need to find a way to close when they get ahead like this. I mean, they're not incredibly ahead. It's only 3,000 gold. It doesn't mean that much. But still, they need to find a way to shut down those hyper carries, hyper tanks. You have a Maokai is only going to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. And then what they can really rely on is going to be Easy and Alex going forward. Solo King, he's not going to be as effective the longer it goes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Now, the one thing, though, is Solar King will actually get more damage.
But they have a flank here, but it gets reversed. Mimo, he takes all the damage, and he gets shut down mid-jump, as they didn't anticipate how much single target burst that was on that side. The Syndra stuns following up as well. It's a 5v4, and Zenith just trying to bail out of this one. They find Cali. It's going to be Alex. He's got the true damage to be able to get a little bit extra. That's Slushie on the other side, though, dodging and weaving as much as he can. Shockwave connecting. They pick him up. Delayed reaction on the dissonance, and they get that one. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but it's still going all kinds of haywire.
Yeah, this is just chaotic. This game was chaotic from the get-go. We've seen 38 kills thus far this game in 35 minutes, more than a kill a minute. So these guys are bloodthirsty, and neither of these teams.
APM.
Yeah, neither of these teams have really tried for objectives much. The objectives have just sort of been secondary. The kills have been the primary objective. We've still only seen 7 turrets. There's still only 1 second-tier turret down on the entire map. Maybe a second one here with this little tiny advantage that Zenith's got.
They're going for Maple. Wow, where'd he go? That's the Acathian surprise. Should be able to polish a little bit extra off, but never mind. And the Zanya stops everything. Zenith taking the lead in this one, and a pause comes in at once again an incredibly tense moment into the game. But wow, how did they just blow up Maple Street like that?
Yeah, that was just absolutely incredible. They got the bubble on him and then just bursted him down so quickly, and that's the benefit of having 3 threats on your team. Alex the Man, Easy, and Solar King are all doing absurd amounts of damage. So if you manage to catch someone in even just a short CC, they're most likely going to go down if they don't have some type of escape. And the Mikhails was down from earlier from Dodo, and so he didn't have it when he needed it for Maple Street. He used it a little bit prematurely as that siege was happening. So we'll have to see what went wrong, why the pause has come out. But there's been quite a few, I think. I'm not sure if it's Teammate or Zenith, but maybe a little bit of connection problems here.
Yeah, according to Maple, definitely had a little bit of lag at the end of all of that. So whether or not that affected that last kill,
I think
I don't really know any kind of lag really would have mattered much in that
Yeah.
case. That was just instant 100-0, and you can see Zenith has this confidence for the dives, and we'll see with this game going forward. They've got one more tower off the back of that one. If they can follow up here, it should be a little bit more, but they have to be careful not to group for this AoE burst.
Yeah, this is a changed Zenith from what we saw in the quarters and semis. They were very timid and very scared to engage underneath turrets or to make aggressive plays surrounding turrets and to make aggressive plays when they weren't ahead by that much. So that's a lot of steps in the right direction for them over these past couple of games to make the right calls in those types of situations. And turrets mean a lot for this team. I said it a couple times so far in this game, and I'll say it again. They just don't have a really great siege. And so whenever they can pick up a turret, they need to pick up a turret if they're going to want to come out on top in this game.
Yep. It does get very difficult in this particular situation for teammates to really go for an easy objective. There aren't many left on the map. The Baron was coming up in 45 seconds. That will be the thing that both these teams will be vying for as we get another pause into this game. They'll get a little bit of a chance to think about where they go from here.
Yeah, and this is a rough point for a lot of teams in this moment of the game. 35 to 45 minutes in, you're ahead by a little bit or you're behind by a little bit. Where do you go from there? It's Baron's up soon, and I'm sure those teams will fight for control, for vision over that area. But I mean, it's so hard to make decisions at this point in the game for both of these squads, because they've shown time and time again in this game that neither team seems to have the edge in these team fights, and it's so hard for both of these teams thus far this game to find good team fights for their team. Even Zenith has had trouble, even though they're the ones ahead and they're the ones that seem to be coming out on top. It's just because of chaos. They're winning because of chaos, and that's not a good feeling when it comes to your confidence that you have to make plays in a game.
Yeah, it's kind of rough to predict what's going to happen going forward, just because of, you're right, they don't necessarily focus on the objectives. They focus on winning the fight, and when it comes out and the smoke clears and you've got one or two members left standing to none on your opposing side, oh, what do we do now? Okay, I guess we'll try to take a tower. It's really difficult, but the longer the game goes, the less these mistakes will be tolerated. Now, 5 seconds on the Baron, and you see Team 8 making moves in that direction, trying to stave it off here. Dragon's 45 seconds away, and Zenith is not really in a position to get in here. They have to be careful about checking into an area where they could be bombarded with damage.
You can see the way these teams are posturing, that Team 8 is the one that sort of holds the cards. They're the ones that are aggressively positioning around the Baron, and but still, I mean, at the same time, both these guys are so afraid of starting a fight or of having a fight started on them. Calitrolls is trying to...
Uh-oh, Solo King might be in a little bit of trouble. He does have a shield up, and they find Calitrolls. They're going to put the damage on him. Easy's the one who gets the shark, but Izania's right on out of it, and they're going to force this dragon disengage. However, they could turn back around if they do get the backs. They don't really want him. Pentakills, Slushi, he's out of position, and so is Cali. They're going to have this number advantage, and they zone Cali. He's going to go down in just a second. Doesn't even have a chance. No flash available. Mimo, he takes some poke as well, but again, they have an extra member, and they're going to start this Baron. Incredibly ballsy move here.
Yeah, and the shockwave is still available, so that's a really big deal, especially when you're trying to hold in a choke point like this. He can just place the ball there and completely deter Team 8 from going anywhere near this Baron, and there it is.
Oh my goodness, wow. Absolutely massive pickup. They get another kill. They get Baron Nashor. They're up 8,000 gold, and that has just gotta hurt if you're Team 8.
Yeah, now they have 2 members down. Their main source of catch potential is down for 45 seconds, and 5 complete Baron buffs. A pretty healthy Zenith is pushing up the mid, and Porpoise Pops is nowhere to be found. Their entire team ran all the way back to base. There's no way that they're going to be able to defend this. This is going to be an inhibitor for Zenith.
At the very least, they should be able to pick that one up. And again, it's a solo dragon. That's a consolation prize if Porpoise can finish that one off. But that's very little when you're thinking about what's happening here. So Team 8 just slowly crumbling. And look at this, a tower on the bot side, they want even more. And Zenith should be able to take this one uncontested. All for a dragon? I don't think that's worth.
Yeah, Porpoise Pops, I mean, sort of a good call by him to realize, hey, we're not going to be able to defend anything outside of our base, so let me just pick up this dragon real quick. But still, that's a lot lost, and this is the biggest lead we've seen for Zenith in either of these games, and they're sort of like, where the heck did the dragon go? So they must realize that Porpoise Pops got that.
Moves.
Yeah, and these Chum the Waters are just completely ineffective from Porpoise Pops. He landed one onto easy, but all he did was zonias it out. And that was it. That was their attempt at starting the fight. And from there on out, it was just Zenith sort of controlling. Great job by Easy to hold on to the Shockwave. He wasn't going to get an optimal Shockwave. It was just too hard for him to do it. So he holds on to it, keeps it in the choke point, and uses it to pick up a pretty quick kill onto Slushy, who probably wasn't keeping track of it and probably thought it was down. And he would at least be able to get through that little pathway before he took too much damage. But he ended up giving his life for it.
I am so impressed at how well Soul King has managed to make Gragas look even out of meta. The fact that he's been able to be an effective off tank, an off AP tank at 40 minutes into the game, that's an incredible thing in and of itself. But they've been able to also utilize their incredible positioning for zone control. And here we go. They make a move towards this bot side. The siege commences. They'll look for the fight, as you said. But this is starting to get scary and a little hectic for Team 8.
Yeah, and it's you got to be at least on edge if you're Zenith as well. They're looking for that perfect initiation. They're looking for the Shockwave or for that that barrel that's going to win them the game. And because right now, a couple deaths will mean an ended game. They have a path up the middle, and there's a pause.
The tense pause tradition continues, but again, you can see Slushy had to go back and defend against the super minions that were starting to march towards the mid side, taking a decent bite out of the Nexus turrets. It's really, really rough to defend. But with pressure on the side of Zenith right now, they can continue to push this one down. It's still, you have to be careful. Where is that late game Kog'Maw from Maple Street? They need it, and they need it now.
Yeah. And so far, it's proven to be that Maple Street is struggling on any AD carry that's not Corki or Lucian at this point in time. He hasn't really had a good game on either of those champions so far in the entire playoffs. So really looking for him to show up in these team fights. Like you said, he needs to be the one for his team that's sort of that staple. And Slushy as well, he's had a pretty impressive game. He's been able to sort of get some cleanup kills on the back, but he's also going to have to step it up if they're going to want to hold off this push from Zenith with the Baron.
Yeah, this is getting really, really tense for both the teams, of course, but they are defending well for the time being. However, how long can they do it? There are minion waves pushing in all of the lanes so far. This bot is actually the best defended, but of course all 5 members are there. This tower, it does regen very slowly. Zenith can march on in here if they want to try and force something, but they're playing it out as cautiously as they can, even with the lead. The largest lead they've had all game.
Yeah, and this just shows they've only tickled that turret. Their siege is absolutely terrible with this team comp. Vayne is not a good turret pusher. She cannot see. Chum the Waters!
Able to make things happen. Solo King, he's in a bit of trouble. Porpoise, though, he's taking a lot of return fire, however, and the sustain is there for Solo King. They're still able to make it happen, and now they have to leave. They have to defend turrets, and they have to defend Nexus turrets. This is the time for Zenith to shove in here. Maple's caught. Oh my goodness, the barrel! It's not enough damage, but they do manage to pick up Solo King. That was a little help from Slushy, and this might be the chance for them to go for. Cali Trolls, he's low. Alex is going to flash away. I don't think they have enough in the tank to be able to do it, but they were able to successfully defend, except against the super minion wave. One Nexus turret down, and it's all Winions.
Shockwave is still up.
Yep, they have that counter engage if they want it, but for now, it looks like Team 8 has managed to defend this siege.
Wow. Really impressive defend. And they just absolutely demolished Solo King as soon as he went in and got greedy for that Maple Street kill. And they're actually going to chase this. Chum the Waters again!
Oh my goodness, they find Easy. He has no Zanyas this time. The bubble, it's going to land on Porpoise. Oh, he's so low. They blow him up, and that's one more pickup, but it's Hakuo going down. 3 minutes
Shockwave!
Oh my god! They get a triple kill. That's Easy making it look it.
Wow, such an impressive play by Easy. Zonia's right in the middle of the team. They forget about him. And that ball, as soon as he comes out of that, the 3-man Shockwave. And those are the Shockwaves that Easy's been doing all throughout the playoffs, making it work for his team. And Zenith is going to push up 40 seconds on 4 members of Team 8. The teleport's going to come in. This is surely going to be the end of the game for Zenith.
Yeah, they're going to have to try. Cali Troll's the only one who can even try to defend this one, but what can a tree do against this Zenith squad? Not much, and they just knock him all the way out of range. He's not going anywhere. Solo King tanking up towers. They don't care. That's the ace. They make it look easy. And 44 minutes into this game, Zenith eSports are going to be your third place team in the Black Monster Cup. Well done.
And it seems that all of the problems that Zenith suffered from throughout the rest of the playoffs were remedied in this third place match against Teammate. They were able to make decisive calls in the mid to late game and turn around team fights so incredibly. And I mean, you got to hand it to Easy. I would say he is definitely one of the MVPs of this match for Zenith because he has been such a solid performer in that mid lane, especially with that Orianna. Some of those shockwaves towards the later part of that game really were so clutch. And Zenith, I don't think anybody would think that they would 2-0. Now, some people say Teammate has been out of practice. They haven't been doing much since they made it to the LCS. But still, nonetheless, Zenith has to have a big boost of confidence beating an LCS team in the Black Monster Cup and getting a little bit of extra cash for their effort taking third place in the Black Monster Cup.
Absolutely, and they earn that extra $1,000 in their pockets now. What a fantastic showing. And again, as you mentioned, the Easy MVP on that one. He was incredible on Orianna. He was great on that Zenith as well in those two games. Absolutely instrumental to his team's victory. And with a sub, Zenith takes the 2-0. Again, it took them a while. Their compositions might have been a little bit shaky looking, but what an incredible play where it counted, and they were able to just roll that onto a victory over Teammate.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really looking forward to the finals that we have coming up next. That was an awesome third place match, and I'm sure that the finals will be even more spectacular. And I think that the teams are gearing up right now, so it shouldn't be too long of a break before we jump into that match. But LOL Pro versus Enemy Esports. Enemy Esports hasn't had an easy time in the quarterfinals. They actually won by forfeiture, I do believe, but they showed up big time in the semifinals. And LOL Pro as well. They were another team that 2-0'd Team 8 in the semis, and they're really one of the favorites, a lot of people will say, going into the expansion tournament off the back of their, what some people call the prodigy, the challenger prodigy mid laner, Yusui.
We'll have to see how they do going forward, but as you mentioned, we're taking a quick break, guys, and when we do return, the moment you've all been waiting for, our best of three final set is going to be Enemy Esports taking on LOL Pro for the Black Monster Cup Fall Champion. So don't go anywhere, guys. You're watching it here right on ESL TV. We will be right back.